Are we live? Fantastic. Well, we're live for the last time, but only for the last time in Mom's basement.
Mom's basement.
Right here. We're moving on up.
Mom's got a big new house.
Huge house. Big new house. She's moving up. You know, we're probably going to discontinue the Hot Pockets. Kicking us out of the basement, moving to the penthouse.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so big. I think she's even like renting a room out. You know, like
Get her own room?
yeah. She's renting a room to us. I think she's doing an Airbnb for somebody else down at the other end of the building. So it's going to be good. It's going to be fantastic.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
So tonight we have the big finish show.
The big finish.
Not only the finish last show in this basement, but we're going to be talking about rod finish.
The big finish show. I've been so excited all day waiting for it that, yeah, it's going to be fantastic. I know we've done a lot of Q&A in the Facebook Live group.
Yeah.
Rod Builders Workshop. Of course, that's great. I think, what are we, 4,000 people now? Close to 4,000 people. So I'm telling you, couldn't do it without you guys.
Awesome. So yeah, we're going to hit on a couple of the most common questions you guys have about epoxy. Not only epoxy, but thread too, because they both go together, right?
Absolutely. Can't really have one without the other in rod building, that's for sure.
Yeah. So we're going to do some Colorfast versus nylon thread, kind of show you the differences there.
Always a big one.
Yeah. And then we're going to do the basics, the essentials. How do you start with epoxy? How do you mix it? How do you apply it to a rod? A couple tips and tricks in there.
Yep.
And then we're going to finish with, maybe you got that, you let your rod dry overnight, you come back and there's a bug in your epoxy. Or you didn't trim one of those tag ends close enough and there's a little burr that pops up.
Been there.
We're going to talk about how to get rid of those and how to fix them.
Absolutely, and I think we're going to do bring an old rod back to life.
Yeah.
You know, we've got a rod here that lived a great life.
It
I
did.
think maybe 7 years.
Yeah, I think so.
7 years. It was on the deck of my boat a little, on the deck of your boat a little. We're going to show you how to kind of breathe some life back into it because it did have a really special butt wrap, design work, and it's a shame that the sun's harmful rays. It just eats away at it. No matter what finish you use, no matter what you do, 7 years of hard tournament fishing is going to do that. But we're going to show you how to kind of breathe some new life into it. And we're going to do a few special things. So we're going to do, for this show only, and it's going to end Friday night. So you got a few days for those that are on the West Coast, for those that are working, that watch this on replay. So we've got a promo code. The boys are going to put the promo code up. That's going to be RBFK 25MHL stop. That's the promo code. That is going to give you 25% off the RBFK-2. So that's going to be the finish kit with epoxy mixer. The promo code's there at the bottom of the screen. Thank you for that, guys. And that's going to end Friday night.
Yep.
So I know, a lot of you guys can't watch, guys and girls, can't watch because you're working hard, you're on the West Coast, or it just doesn't work out. So that's why we're not going to turn it off until Friday night. But that promo code that you've got right there at the bottom of the screen is only for y'all. We're not promoting this. We're not sending it out in an email. It's just for the show, for the finishing kit with the epoxy mixer, the RBFK-2, that promo code. So
Can't beat that.
that's pretty cool. And if you host a watch party, so you've seen maybe some Facebook watch party stuff. So if you host a watch party for the show, tag 5 friends in it. We're going to do a CRB syringe and sealing cap kit. So syringes, major part of this deal.
Caps.
And then Hunter here
Hold
has
these guys.
got the caps. So that, those part is the BCSI. Those are the caps that go, I know we're back and forth here with the zoom. These are the sealing caps that go in the top of these bottles so that you can have your syringe just live in there, put it in, keeps everything sealed and nice. Got to host a watch party. You host a watch party, tag 5 friends, going to be entered to win that. Yeah. actually, do you enter to win that? I think you're guaranteed win, right, boys? Yeah,
Yes.
so host a watch party, tag 5 people. We're just going to send you a set of syringes and some sealing caps. You know, I mean, everybody could use those.
Free of charge.
So, fantastic. Fantastic. And speaking of free of charge, free shipping till the end of the year
Yeah.
on all orders. Nobody's doing it but us. So, and that's just a token of our appreciation to y'all. So, all the way to the end of the year, free shipping. That's on blanks, what, under 8 feet?
Under 8 feet. Yep.
And pretty much everything else. So, that's fantastic. So, anyway, I think it is about that time to kick the big finish off. Guys, what do you say? Is everybody ready? Let's hit it.
There is nothing wrong with your television set. Do not attempt to adjust the picture. We are controlling transmission.
And we're back.
And we're back for the big finish show. Last time in Mom's basement at the Mudhole building.
What
Been here a while, right?
What episode is
I
this?
think it's 47.
47.
Episode 47. I'm shocked. Can't believe we've been
Made it this long.
Come a long way. Come a long way. So we appreciate you guys watching. All the rod builders out there. As always, jump in after the show, the post show, do a little Q&A in the Mudholes Facebook Live Rod Builders Workshop.
Yep.
You know, if there's a question we didn't get to live on the air, we of course will address it there. And there's some links in there. You'll be able to, you know, answer questions, get some tips and tricks. As always, that's a 4,000 member group, so we appreciate everybody in that. And all right, so we did the promo code.
Yep.
That's for the finishing kit with the epoxy mixture.
Yep.
Till Friday. Talked about free shipping. We've got
Clearance blanks.
clearance blanks in there.
50% off.
Bunch of stuff. That's fantastic. We got some sales coming up. We'll announce those later. We got some prizes to give away tonight. So we're giving away some spools of thread.
Yep.
You know, kind of third place prize, pick and choose. Going to get a few Colorfast, a few Nylon, a few silk, because we're going to talk about that. We're going to give away an epoxy mixer kit. We got the epoxy mixer cranking here. We're going to do a big grand prize tonight, color rod kit with matching thread, single application finish pack. So yeah, we'll just be shopping on Hunter's Card as usual. And what do you think? You wanna kind of get this going?
Yeah, we can.
What do you want to talk about first? You guys got us put us a few questions in there. Maybe you know, give us a show outline if we're missing anything. I hope we don't. But we're gonna get going. I know one of the biggest questions that just came in. Everybody talks about it. Talking about temperature.
Yeah. And we'll probably hit on this a little bit later in the show.
Yep.
But so Conrad asked right off the bat, if it is too cold, will the finish dry? And the answer to that is no. If it does get down to a certain temperature, not only will it take longer to dry and longer to set up, it can be cold enough to not set up at all, you know. So that's why we have tools like the CRB heater over here. And of course we have the tent that we'll show in a little bit. You know, those things right there will keep the temperature, you know, even if you're in your basement like we are, or you're in your garage and it's, you know, it's almost middle of November now, or is no middle of November. I'll wait till you get done.
Oh, come on. Is it loud?
See, I wasn't kidding.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, like you said, it's what, 50, it was like 54 last night or something?
Yeah, even here in Florida. So
ridiculous.
I know you guys up in the Northeast and Midwest are probably freezing right now. So if it is that way, you know, get yourself a heater. Make sure your temperature is, you know, at minimum, you know, above 70. Anywhere from 75 to 80 is prime. That's what you need to really get that epoxy to set up and to cure fully.
Yeah, and I think we'll put a link in there. We've got the perfect temperature gauge.
Yep.
It's got an adhesive back on it. It's really nice to just slap on your, you know, workbench
Yep.
right there, so you know exactly what that temperature is, right where you're putting your finish on. That's going to give you a little range, you know, shows you the perfect, shows you too hot, but you really can't get too hot.
No.
Shows you too cold's the worst part. So yeah, that's that. Great explanation.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna finish this out here real quick, and then we'll continue.
So we're going to be talking about, to get away from that a little bit, we will touch on that again later when we actually talk about, you know, step by step how to go through your finish process. But first we're going to talk about, you know, Colorfast versus nylon, because this comes up quite a bit. You know, should I use regular nylon? Should I use Colorfast? When should I use one, not the other? And then now we also have,
Sorry about that.
you're good. We also have silk thread, which is a new addition, you know, because we have the fish hawk thread now.
Yep.
So, and a lot of guys, if you've probably seen the transparent thread wraps, you know, you're like, wow, how do I, you know, get those? Of course, because sometimes, you know, if you're working with titanium or gunsmoke guides, you can get a transparent guide wrap to see through to that the foot of the guide. Looks awesome. So
I'm a big fan.
How do you get that effect?
Yep.
Well, it's with silk thread. So after Chris gets set up here, we've got our silk thread. Move this epoxy mixer over a little bit.
Yep.
We have our,
Give me a mixture there, please.
yeah.
Get some of this going.
So we have our, we got on zoom there, silk thread. We have our, now you did this, so I'm going to say this is probably regular nylon.
Yep.
And then our Colorfast. And this is what color here we have?
I got the spools right there.
This is, oh, so you got 122 for your regular nylon.
Yep.
And then we got 552. So we did the same thing or no? No, you did different colors there.
Oh.
But regardless,
Yep. Similar.
we'll show you.
I thought I had grabbed 122 for both.
Yeah,
But-
so it looks like this one's going to be our 112 or 122.
Yep.
And this is our 552.
Yep.
But regardless, we'll still show you the difference when epoxy hits this color, this regular nylon, what it will actually do. So it's not only going to darken up, but it kind of gives it that transparent or translucent effect a little bit, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
You know,
yeah,
not,
I mean,
not so much as, you know, as you do with the white silk thread, not completely transparent.
right.
But you do get a little more translucent effect.
Yeah, you know, and it's one of those things that I think a lot of people use on fly rod builds. You know, a lot of people use them on if they're going to do like a metallic blank or a color blank like this.
Yeah.
Because you know it doesn't overpower. I should say the thread won't overpower the color, but it kind of gives that look where it disappears a little bit, but not totally. And you know, but it is a mixture, because I know we've even got a build back here that, you know, has your Colorfast on there, and it really stands out.
Yeah.
And that is one of those deals that, you know, most people always ask, well, what's the difference between Colorfast and nylon? And one thing to always keep in mind is the Colorfast will look exactly as it does on the blank as it does on the spool. Now, the nylon is what's going to adjust. So,
And of course, you can use color preserver, or CP as we call it sometimes,
Yep.
with regular nylon. My thoughts on that is, you know, if you want a color to stay exactly how it is, just buy the NCP or the Colorfast. Don't worry about trying to use color preserver with nylon and get that perfect color.
yeah.
I usually stay away from that. And I know you use a lot of regular nylon, and so have I. And I like that little bit darker, a little bit more translucent effect that it gives. And you know, of course, it will darken up a little bit, and that's what we're going to show here in a few minutes. But I kind of like it to blend into that blank a little bit. I try to, you know, if I have a navy blue blank, I'm going to go with maybe a medium to a light blue regular nylon.
Right.
And it almost fades right into the blank color.
Absolutely. All right, so get that in there. Now, we've got the old standby, the RDS, so it's a rod drying system,
Yep.
right? And I have the clutch on here. Now, for those that saw how I was mixing it, you know, I really like to do 3 to 4 minutes, a good consistent mix. It's just one of those things that if you don't mix it properly, that's probably half the issues of, you know, of it not drying or something. The other half of the issues is probably temperature, which we talked about earlier. Now, the great part about this is if you're going to build a rod and you're picking, you know, this is the LBL color. So it's the light blue. This is a color that we've got here in-house from the CRB color series. I just cut the end off so we didn't have to deal with the extra length. But let's say you order this, and you know, thread's cheap. It's not all that much. Or let's say you buy the thread kit. You get 17 colors, you get 40 colors, and you don't really know what you want, right? There's a good test, okay? So I'm going to take some alcohol. We keep it, you know, close at hand. Now this doesn't have to be any special, you know, this can be denatured. It can be the isopropyl alcohol. What it's going to do is it's going to wet the thread out, so it's going to give you a test, an approximate, right? It's not going to be exact, but it is at least going to give you what it's probably going to look like. So here I'll show you, I'll start here with the Colorfast, and I'm wetting the Colorfast. You can see it just gets wet, right? Just put it on here. We're good. Looks the same as it did on the spool, right? Now there's your nylon. You can see that being absorbed changes color. Okay? So you can go, all right, well that's, you know, that's about what we're going to see. And of course, then we'll do, there's your white silk. And it just about disappears. And when I mean disappears, it pretty much just blends into the black.
Yep.
You know? Now, I will say that when you put finish on that, it does turn a little more clear.
Yep.
With finish. And of course there is, you know, there's a couple things to keep in mind, that you're looking at an LBL, so you're looking at a lighter color blank, and you do have to understand that, well, what happens if I put it on a black blank, right? Or a really, really dark blank.
Yep.
So let me go ahead and knock that out here, and I'll put finish on it.
I'll get a couple questions real quick while we're waiting there, Chris. How long to wait between CP and epoxy? So, color preserver dries pretty fast. I mean, you can give it maybe 30 minutes to an hour. It's pretty much going to set up, and you should be good to go to apply your epoxy. Should I epoxy under wrap before I put the guides on? You don't necessarily have to, Andrew.
But that is a great question.
It is a good question. It's a really good question. You don't have to, and if you do, make sure it's a really thin coat. You don't have to put much epoxy on there at all.
Right.
Kind of one of those things, personal preference. You know, if you feel like you need to, you can, but you don't have to.
And I'll show you real quick, Nick. On this blank here, we did a quick wrap where, you know, we had talked about under wraps and over wraps. Okay, we've talked about the fact that you really need to use A underneath size D so that the size D doesn't dig in. But if you're looking here, you can see a little bit of that purple coming through. And if you're not ultra careful, or you're not keeping it super, super tight, you're gonna get a few little gaps here if you don't put finish on it.
Yep.
So you can either do finish or you can do color preserver on this base wrap. It's not a must, but it's just, you know, I'm glad they asked that question, and it's just, that's just one of those little tiny things that you come to find out when, you know, you're trying to do an under wrap and an over wrap, and it's like, well, maybe I should have gone ahead and put a little bit of finish on there. So anyway, all right, I've got this darker blank here, and I think it's about time to put some finish on it. So as I showed you guys before, with the alcohol test, I'm actually gonna get this spinning towards me. Another quick tip before I forget, if you have the clutch, you can see I can just stop it and move it and spin it. Okay, the clutch is really, really key here. It allows me to stop the rod blank from spinning, but not turn the motor off. But remember, this motor is reversible. So you can stop it like that, right? You see it stop the clutch, and you can see here that the motor's still turning, right? Now, if I want to reverse this and you have a clutch, you have to grab in here on the clutch, and when you do that, there it is, right? Back the other way, like that. I'm somebody that likes it spinning towards me. So that's with the clutch. I can just grab it and stop it, add finish, let it go, and start rolling again. So, all right, come out here. Let me put a little finish here. So again, we've got our Colorfast. This is, what did you say? This is that 122?
Yes, so that's the neon yellow, 122.
Can't believe I didn't get both 122. That's...
Yeah, that's okay. You show the differences in color. I just didn't want to give people the wrong impression on the colors it comes out to be.
Yeah. All right, so there is Colorfast. And you can see there's very little difference. You want to hand me that spool? Sure. So very little difference, right? Looks almost, I mean, it really looks identical, honestly. So that's pretty much the same. That's what happens when you use Colorfast, okay? You still get a good bond. You know, the treatment in the thread is you know, it's kind of like a pressure dyed that doesn't, that, you know, fully absorbs finish and all that stuff. So it's really, really nice. Now we're going to move over here to the nylon. I'm just going to put a stripe down the middle here so you guys can watch this change. And you can just kind of see where it just starts to really absorb it. Another quick thing while I've got you, for me, putting a really, really clean edge, I like to put my fist on the table, and then I use my fist as a rest, right? Just like this. And you can see it's a fairly clean edge there, and you can just watch it darken up and absorb in. You can see over here the difference. See that spool? And there's the difference. So that's what it starts to turn into, right? So this this 522, 122, you know, both of them actually look pretty darn good and close to the MHX green in the grips.
Do.
So a lot of people ask that too. What's the best color there? Of course, you see that alcohol burner? You can always finish it out. Just get a quick, you know, quick little back and forth. Level that out. One thing about an alcohol burner, I like it. It's kind of one of those just indispensables for me. I gotta have it, but I keep it very low. You know, I don't want it too heavy. I don't want too much alcohol in it. You need to use denatured alcohol in this. It's easy. You can use this denatured alcohol. Get it at Home Depot, Lowe's, Ace. That's what you use in the alcohol burner. So it's what we use. And like I said, I keep very little in it just because it's easier to hang on to. Then we're going to do the silk. How are we doing on time there, sir?
Yeah, good.
And I kind of have found that, you know, if you guys like to use an alcohol burner or you like to use a heat gun, use it sparingly, please, because not only does a flame get hot, those heat guns get very hot. So the last thing you really want to do is, you know, melt one of these rod blades. So try to stay away from that. But it does, you know, a little bit of heat actually helps bring that finish into your thread. So whether it's nylon, whether it's silk, it actually helps kind of uniformly, SAT word for the night,
Wow.
bring it right in there. So you can see that is just about clear. Go ahead and finish that on out.
Very cool. Yeah, you can see the Colorfast. It looks like it doesn't even have finish on it. It's just it retains that color so well.
Yep. There it is.
Awesome.
Cool.
Let's see here. Tammy's got a great question. I don't think we've actually ever answered this question on the show. Do you need to use CP color preserver on metallic thread? And you do not.
Nope.
You do not need to use. It will not change colors. It will not darken. So no, you do not use CP on metallic thread.
You don't need to use it on metallic. You don't need to use it on the metallic braid. I don't think we use it. Do we use it on the, what is the one? It's like a tiger.
Tiger thread? That's a good question.
I know. We'll have to get back to you on that. That's
First
one of
of
those we will follow up in the Rod Builders workshop.
It might be a good idea to use it.
Yeah.
Just in case.
Pretty good. Pretty good. All right, next question. Kurt uses Pro Coat. Saw fall flyer. He saw the page on the Threadmaster finish. How does it compare? I gotta tell you, Kurt, I'm a big fan. Okay? So this is the Threadmaster. Now remember, the Threadmaster has two levels or weights or whatever you want to call it. It has a regular and it has a light. I tend to use the light when I use it. The reason I use the light is because it's very, very similar to Pro Coat. Pro Coat, we call it a medium build finish. Threadmaster Light is a light build, but I would say, in my personal opinion, that Pro Coat's medium build is closer to light
Yes.
than it is to regular or whatever.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you say that?
I would, definitely.
So, and then if you want a high build, then you just go to Pro Coat High Build. So, if you like Pro Coat, you'll like Threadmaster Light.
Yep.
And I use it on bass rods, light inshore, and fly rods, especially fly rods. I think it's just really nice.
Yeah.
So, yep.
If we want to, which would be a good idea to hit on the differences just real quick, kind of across the board with all brands, the differences between a light or a regular or medium build versus a high build.
Okay.
So for one, a light build is obviously going to have a thinner viscosity. It's going to be, you know, if you're using, you know, freshwater, ultralights, fly rod builds, even light inshore rods, probably should use a light build. Just because you can do, allows you to do thinner coats, you know, you can do 2 thin coats and be done with a rod. It's going to have a longer pot life, but it's also going to take longer to dry. Whereas a high build typically will have a little bit shorter pot life or working time, and it's going to be faster to dry. So a couple, you know, just some pros and cons of each one. You got anything to mention or add to that?
I've got them here. So these are both, got the high build here.
Okay.
Got the medium build here. I think you can tell, you know, how much more finish is over here. I know it's probably kind of hard. I was just doing my best to put, you know, high build here, the medium build here, just to kind of give you a representation. You know, it's that Pro Coat obviously is so clean and clear. It's tough to see. What you can see.
There's a bug in there.
What you can see, though, is you can see that there is a bug in my finish. That is right there. That was not planned. And a lot of people were like, wow, why is Chris cussing in the back? So that was one of those deals where probably should have used something like the tent.
Yeah.
A little more secure, you know, why don't you grab that guy there? So real quick on the tent.
Coming in, coming in.
This is 1/2 of the tent, right? If you notice, the tent will go over the RBS Pro. The tent will go over the track. It'll go over a single dryer. It actually goes over a tri-dryer. You can use this if, you know, you've got a curious cat at home that likes to stick its nose in your Pro Coat finish. If you're in a basement where there's dust, if you got bugs, if you got any of that stuff, use the tent. Trust me, it is well worth its weight in gold.
Put that back.
So again, that's half the size. The full size, the two pieces, they actually Velcro together. They cover the entire track system that we've got here on the RBS Pro. So what is that? That's 8 feet or some change, because each track is 33 inches times 3, close to it, whatever. So yeah, the tent covers pretty much all. And of course, the tent also will hold your dryer. I mean your heater.
Heater. Yep.
So if you need to raise the temp up a little bit, throw that heater in there. So anyway, that's a little representation. We're also going to show you how to get that bug out in a minute. Real quick, got it coming in from the news desk. Use color preserver on Tiger thread. So there it is. Use CP on Tiger. Speaking of thread,
Yeah.
you want to give something away?
Let's do it.
All right.
So, third place winner.
Third place winner, I'll take this one because it's easy.
Oh, yeah.
Michael Smith. Michael Smith, congratulations. We are going to send you some thread. So slide in the DMs. Give us an address, email address. If you've got your account number, if you already shop with us, we'd love to send you some thread. So we're going to do some Colorfast, some nylon, some silk. That Fishhawk silk it's nice.
Yeah.
So that's what we're going to do.
Let's do one more question, maybe two, and then we'll go.
Perfect. Yeah.
Paul, some people tape the edge of wraps, guide wraps, to apply finish. Is there any advantage or disadvantage to this? I would say there's no really disadvantage. I think you can do the same effect. For one, Chris actually has a really good tip on this, which I'll pass over to him in a second. My number one tip is try a faster RPM motor.
Yeah.
If you can get that blank turning a little bit faster, typically you can get a cleaner edge. The other tip that works great that Chris does with pretty much all of his brushes, and I guess you're going to do it now or later, but
yeah,
is to trim up the bristles on your brush.
Bristles. Yep.
Yeah.
I'm going to wait till our Zoom man gets back here. We're going to do a quick trim on the brushes. Now this pretty much works with everything, but of course it works especially well with our, kind of standard yellow or purple brushes that we've got here. So the yellow brushes, which I recommend using just because I use them.
1/4 inch.
The 1/4 inch. So the purple brushes, so you've seen them, the handle's yellow, it's 1/4 inch. Handle's purple, it's 1/8 of an inch. I just like the yellow ones. 1/4 inch, I'm comfortable with it. It's just one of those deals, right? So I take a razor blade and I'm actually going to set it down on the table. Is that good? Cool. You want me to turn it to the side maybe a little? Yeah, there we go. All right, so I'm not going to cut it too far back, but if you notice, it kind of starts to splay out here in the edge. That's going to kind of give you some run out, and where that is instead of the brush laying down on the blank like that, it's going to lay on the blank like that. And what it'll do is it'll push that finish out. So I'm going to actually come in here with a razor blade, and I'm going to press, and make sure you have a sharp blade, because then you can just press it right there, and you're good to go. So there's a nice sharp edge. There we go, right there. Cool. That's what I do, and that's about the length that I trim it back, and it just gets rid of all those flyaways or whatever they call it.
Yep.
So that's what I really like to do. It's a good point.
Cool.
Good point.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Well,
What are we going to do now?
You want to dive into the next?
I think we'll just go ahead and dive right into the next one. That's fantastic. We're going to talk about putting finish on CrossWraps. We're also going to talk about a floating decal.
Yeah.
The floating decal for me was pretty cool. I really, really like, For those that followed along during the Tiger Wrap show, that was a big one. And we're going to show a floating decal. So let me have that. I'm going to put it in this dryer here. Yeah? So we've got old largemouth, and we've got a Tiger Wrap here, as you can see. See that Tiger Wrap action? Man.
Sporty.
There it is. All right, so we've got a Tiger Wrap. We've got it kind of bracketed here on either side. Solid color. That is a green and a gold with black trim in there. And then what we actually did is then we threw a largemouth bass in there. So there's a largemouth. See if I can't get that. It looks like that decal is floating on top. Kind of. Can we turn it like that? Yeah, maybe give you kind of an angle. Hang on. Maybe like that. You can kind of see. Yeah, that's actually pretty good. That decal kind of sits on top of the Tiger Wrap now. So it actually looks like that, you know, that fish is lifted off. So you can actually see a little bit of a shadow and all that. So the way that we do this is you're going to utilize your high build, okay? So, you know, during your Tiger Wrap, and you know, a great part about this is you can come back and do this over the top of a Tiger Wrap you've already done. So let's say your Tiger Wrap's done, and then now you're like, well, man, that floating decal is something I want to do. You can just come back in. I would add another coat over the top of this, high build. Then put a decal down, and then come back over the top again and throw that in there. So that's going to be your floating decal that we wanted to show. So there it is. Tiger Wrap, floating decal. Boom.
Done.
That's it. You want to talk about that guaranteed win one more time?
Yeah, so let's go back to the two things we got going on tonight. The first, if you guys host a watch party, tag 5 of your friends in that group, you're guaranteed to win the CRB syringe and the self-sealing caps, the BCSIs, the kit. You're guaranteed to win that. All you gotta do is host a watch party, tag 5 friends, and boom, we'll send you the kit. The other is the 25% off code for the, what is it, the RBFK-2?
Yep.
The finishing kit with the epoxy mixer. That's 25% off. The code is RBFK25MHL. So,
I mean, you're just watching, getting free
that's
stuff.
it. Just
Why
for
not?
you guys.
Perfect. Perfect, perfect. All right, real quick. Get a lot of people talking about CrossWraps. So the deal with the CrossWrap, and this starts to come into people asking about how many coats of finish do you use? So how many, I mean, what's your regular? Are you a one coat guy on a guide wrap?
On a guide wrap? Should I actually say that? Yes.
Well,
Honestly,
I'm a one coat guy.
I am too. And you know, honestly,
Is it more just because you want to get on the water, or
oh,
what?
absolutely. You know, I'm like all of our rods look. They're basic. They're
I mean, they
no
know.
frills.
We're not we're not hiding anything.
We're,
they know.
We're one coat and we're done and we're fishing. You know,
That's it.
that next day.
Yep.
So you know, you should probably do 2 thin coats. But in reality,
Yeah.
if you need to fish the next day, nothing wrong with one decent coat.
One coat, knock it out. Cool. All right. Now here's the trick, though. I don't know if it's a trick or if it's just how. Okay, so you've got the CrossWrap. Hunter put us a CrossWrap here together. So the interesting thing about this is, he utilized braid in here. He utilized a couple different colors. There's some Colorfast in there. And then, of course, we had to trim it out and finish over here. Now, see if you can hear this. This has one thin coat. So you can hear there's still ridges. There's ridges in this. The reason that there's ridges in this is because I took Pro Coat Medium, or you could use Threadmaster Light, and you want to be sure that you're using either the RBS Pro to like work back and forth as you put finish in, or you want to use the RDS with a clutch.
Yep.
The reason for that is because the braid is a multi-strand material, it's got air bubbles in it just naturally.
Yep.
So if you start just lathering on finish, those bubbles aren't just going to just release themselves, and you'll come back and you'll have air bubbles that are surrounding all of this braid, and it's because you went too heavy, too quick on your finish. So what you want to make sure you do is one really, really thin coat over this, okay? And let me just show you kind of the brush stroke approach to doing that. So I've got the dryer, got the clutch, got my CrossWrap here that Hunter spent a lot of time on. So what we're going to do is, this is probably one of the few times that I don't cut my brush. The reason that I don't cut my brush is when I am putting finish on this for the first time, not the second time, when I'm putting finish on here, I am actually, you can see I'm splaying that brush out. You see how it kind of wants to open up? The reason I'm doing that is because I'm actually using the pressure from the brush to work the finish in, okay? And I'm working, kind of long ways over this. Mm-hmm. And then I'm also following this thread wrap across. You can see like this, right? Typically what I do though is I load that cross wrap and I come across it first. Because as you come across it, you're going to work that finish into the cross wrap. And work on your cross wrap separately from your guides, okay? Finish isn't that expensive. Mix you up some finish and only work on your cross wrap. That way you're not rushing. Your finish is kind of at its most liquidy state. You don't want it to like start to set up and then you're working with really heavy finish initially.
Yeah.
You want to be sure that the finish is pretty thin and you're using a little bit of pressure and just nice, consistent strokes that has some pressure in it. The reason for that is we're just going to work those air bubbles out as we go across. We'll work our way across and then we'll come back in and we'll follow those cross wraps as we come across. And then that will eliminate a lot of the air that's trapped inside of that braid.
Yep.
That's just one of those things. When you deal with all of this thread, it's the same in an under wrap and an over wrap, which I'll show you here in a minute. It's just one of those deals that you've got a lot going on and you don't want to, have too much air in there. Mm-hmm. So, that about right? What you think?
I think you got it.
I think I got it. Now let me show them real quick. And I hate to say that we're putting too much into one episode, but we're trying to cover questions, right?
Let me just hold this the rest of the show.
Well, I just want you to turn it a quarter of a turn for the next 2 hours. So
I guess you want that one.
Yep, I'm gonna do this, and you're actually gonna show us how to do that since it's way over there. Cool.
Trade you.
There it is. All right. I was just gonna put finish on that guide there.
Yeah. Good to go.
So you can stop and start.
Let's move this over just a little bit.
Yeah, put me right here.
It's out of the way.
All right, let me get a couple questions here. How strong is the silk? Is it strong enough? Is it strong enough for typical bass rods? Kyle, it's pretty thin. So they call it 3/0. I think that's 3/0, right?
Yeah, it should be 3/0.
Yeah. That fish hawk is a 3/0 thread. So it's not strong. And I would say it's borderline down there where A is. But yes, I would say it is strong enough for typical bass rods. The reason is between the silk and the Pro Coat, you're going to get a great bond. So I'm not worried about strength once it's on the rod. You know, putting it on, it might be a little of a change if you've never worked with silk before. Just be aware of that. So that is that. While you're doing that.
I'm just getting started. I'm
okay.
preparing.
While you're getting started, I'm going to give something away.
Go for it.
So we're going to give the epoxy mixer kit, which is RBFK. They'll put the SKU in there. I'm going to give that to Mandy Leon.
Yeah.
How about that?
Perfect.
So
second place winner.
Mandy, second place winner. Mandy Leon has got the epoxy mixer kit. So that is that's what's going on. Now, of course, we got you know, again, for the show only. Speaking of the epoxy mixer, for this show only, we've got a promo code in there. It's right there on the screen. RBFK 25 MHL. That's 25% off the RBFK-2 finishing kit with epoxy mixer. That's going to go through Friday night. You know, I don't mean to sound like a broken record. We got people coming in, going out all night. We want to make sure that they're not missing that. That's 25% off just for the viewers. Hunter, take it away. What you got for me, bud?
Yeah, so for our under wraps here, you want to be especially careful. Now, I've just kind of got this started a little bit. You notice I started in the middle, I worked my way out to the edge of the guide wrap here. And now when I come back towards the upper part of this guide foot, towards the middle, towards the ring, you really want to be sure, like Chris showed earlier, to press with the bristles of your brush. And especially when you get to this end over here, you want to press, press, press. Because what you're essentially doing is pressing, you know, air bubbles and an air pocket will actually get inside of this little tunnel underneath this guide foot.
Right.
You see that right there? A little bit maybe? And so what you're doing basically is pressing with this epoxy with the brushes, or with the bristles, is you're pressing that air pocket and you're getting all of that out. And the clutch makes it really, really easy, not only with our brush, but sometimes I'll come in with, you know, maybe one of our white mixing sticks, or even a toothpick.
Yep, that's a good trick.
This clutch allows you to go in there and just put a little dab. You don't want to put too much.
Right.
Because you put too much, that epoxy will actually run up your guide foot and it'll, you know, close that off and your air won't be able to escape out of there.
Yep.
But that toothpick trick really, really helps get in those tight places.
Now, I will say too, you know, because I like using a little heat when I'm building, if you use some heat as you work around that guide foot, it will actually help draw that finish into that tunnel, like you were saying. It'll help draw that in there, it'll push the air out, and you'll have a nice, you know, you'll have a nice seal, no air bubbles. It'll help kind of work that out because it'll just thin that finish, boom, real quick, work right in there, and then you just keep working. And that's the great thing about the dryer with the clutch, is you can just put the brakes on it, hold it right there, and as soon as you let it go, it's just going to keep going.
Yep. Just pop it right there. See, I missed a little section on the opposite side near that guide foot, and I can just go in, just put a little bit, just barely brush that epoxy up towards the leg. And then after, you know, after I kind of get where I want, I'm missing a little bit of epoxy out here towards the edge of the wrap. So I'll go and just place a little bit there. I just let that kind of just do its thing for maybe, you know, 30 seconds to a minute. Just let it level out. Like you said, I'll come in with the heat from the alcohol torch. I'll make sure I've pressed a lot of those bubbles out from that tunnel.
Right.
And then again, just kind of let it sit and do its own thing, you know. You don't want to wait several minutes because, you know, you need to do the rest of your guides, but with finish, I never try to get in too much of a hurry. I let it do its own thing. You know, people, I think that's the biggest mistake when they are applying epoxy. It's, for one, they put too much on to begin with.
Yeah.
Then you're always trying to worry about, you know, pushing it off, you know, leveling out, little at a time, let it level itself out, use a little bit of heat, back off with the heat, and then just let it do its thing.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. And two, I know we've talked about this on previous shows and whatnot. You can always jump to the next guide on the rod, start your finish there, and then come back to the previous one. You know, as you work up that rod, I know I'm somebody that does that. You know, I'll work on this guide, get everything kind of going, get the finish kind of, you know, absorbing, kind of get it where I want it. I'll jump to the next guide, start to work on that a little bit, and then that'll give that, you know, what'd you say, that 30, 45 seconds or so of time to let that epoxy kind of settle in, and then just come right back to it.
Yep.
Then when you come back to that previous guide, finish that one up, tighten that up, then you're done there. Now jump back to the one that you had already started, and you can kind of, you know, you can kind of bounce back and forth. So that's a great, you know, great option there. Let me jump on a couple questions here. Is there a difference in mixing epoxy with the epoxy mixer and mixing it by hand? You know, Nick, there's really not. The best thing really is just convenience. I mean, you can just take the mixing cup. This is what it looks like here. We've got our kind of mixer weight right here. You've got your cup, you got your weight. You can just put your finish in the cup, drop your weight in, and then right down here to the mixer, fits right in, boom, there we go. Turn it on and let it go, and you can go do something else.
Yeah.
So really, if you're doing, you know, large builds where you got some offshore stuff, maybe you've got that butt wrap that you need to come back to, you can actually take, this is finish. Here's another in-house trick. We learned this doing our rod building classes. This is finish that is in mixing cups that is measured out but has not been mixed. This finish will sit like this for hours. If you've ever been to a rod building class, we take and pre-mix the finish, we put it in the mixing cup, but it will not start to set up until you mix it. So it's actually kind of, you can't really see it at a distance, but you can actually see it looks like, you know, levels there. So there's one level on the bottom, the next level on the top. Oh, there you go. Nice, Nick. You can slide it in there. You can kind of see there's a level there. Those are those A and B, part A and B, separated. And that's not going to do anything until you start mixing. So the good thing is, get yourself organized, get situated, start putting finish on your rod. When you know you're going to need to come back to do that butt wrap, get about halfway down the rod and just lean over, turn your epoxy mixer on. By the time you get done with your guides, your finish will be in the epoxy mixer mixing. Pull it right out, put it in one of those foil dishes, and boom. That's kind of how you maximize your time.
Yeah.
So there you go. You want to do what we got here. When do you switch from A to D thread? What rod power rating or application? You know, Scott, I don't go to size D thread until we're doing offshore stuff.
Yeah.
You know, anything saltwater, you know, large nearshore stuff. Anytime you're going off the beach, headed offshore, that's where I'm going to go to size D. Outside of that, you know, size B is great for, you know, kind of the mid-range if you're maybe doing bass, muskie, light inshore. B's good. A is great for, you know, lighter stuff. Light inshore also, some bass stuff, you know, fly rods especially. Size A is great for that. And, you know, B's kind of that in between. I think if you haven't tried size B, I think you're going to like it because it's kind of best of both worlds, honestly.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Levi, would a drop on top of the foot plus heat help to soak it in that tunnel? A drop of what? What are we talking there?
I think he's talking about putting finish like way out on the point.
Okay.
Yeah, and I've done that. You know, if you kind of load it up, if this is your guide foot, the ring's over here, you got a guide foot here, you can kind of stack your finish out here, and then if you add some heat, it will actually go into that tunnel. You know, it'll just run right up that guide foot and help fill in that. It'll run that air out of there, and it'll be great. So yeah, absolutely. It's a good little.
A couple more and then we'll Luke, is it if I completely strip down an old rod, can I sand the blank with some very fine sandpaper to clean off old epoxy. Luke, that's a that's a very dangerous idea. We're going to show a little bit of that in a few minutes. If you do it, be very, very, very careful.
Yeah.
Don't do too much.
I like to live dangerously sometimes.
You can do it, and Chris is going to show you some do's and some don'ts. But
That's my middle name.
Be very careful if you do.
All right. You let's see.
What's you got?
I mean, I think, you know, for the people that want to win something and they don't even have to get chosen, tag 5 people, right? Is that what we're doing?
Host a watch party.
Perfect.
That's all you gotta do. Let's do a couple more while you're setting up there.
Yep.
Michael, should you do a light coat of finish over snakeskins, abalone, or any of the decals before you wrap your trim bands? Yes, definitely. You know, you're gonna have to coat those either way, so you know, I would just put a light coat on there to protect it. You can also obviously use CP.
Yeah, because you use CP a lot, right?
Yeah, definitely.
For that, I think we've done that on our previous shows.
And it dries clear. It's kind of just like a, you know, a glue. You know, it just kind of it keeps anything intact that you want to. You know, people use CP for feather inlays to place, you know, feathers where they want to. It's great for snakeskin, abalone. I guess you could.
I've never used it for abalone,
Yeah.
but
Usually they're adhesive back, so they, you know, stick on there pretty good. And
Yeah,
once you use the heat gun, they're on there.
that 3M backing on that abalone is.
Yeah.
It's not going anywhere.
What else we got? Dennis, what about applying finish with a power wrapper? Yeah, you definitely can, and especially if you want to dry, or not dry, excuse me, apply finish at a higher speed, like we talked about earlier. You know, we sell the we sell the rod dryer in 9 and 18 RPM, and of course we have the variable speed too, that goes up to 40 or 45 RPM. But if you really want to apply epoxy at a high speed, see, it gets them excited. You're about to see it right here.
But yeah, no, you're right on that. I mean, you could put finish in here. The great thing is there's a lot of people, old Bob included, your dad, he finishes by hand. So he'll actually take, and we've shown this before, you take the band off of the RBS Pro. You don't even really have to take the band off, honestly. You can actually work this back and forth, and you can put finish, move it, boop, 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 you know, go down it. If you're constantly moving it and then you can take it out, go right in a rod dryer, you're ready to rock. So, all right, what we got? Anything else?
No, I think we're good for now.
We're good for now?
Yeah, I think so.
I think we're good for now. Fantastic. All right, so hopefully we can see this. I think we can. So we're doing a little before and after. And this was one of the rods, the old trusty MB873. Our boy Nate Powers built this for us years ago. Won a lot of money. I know you love it because it's got this ACSM on here.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
We know who used it last.
Yeah, that would be you. So here's the thing. We've got some finish here on this back end. You can kind of see it's kind of cloudy. There's kind of some boogers on it. It's those deals that this just happens. It's a 7-year-old rod. It's lived on the front deck of a bass boat in Florida for 7 years practically. It's not mistreated, but it's just flat out fished. Boom, done. So what I did, and that's why this tape is here, I'm going to go ahead and pull this tape off so we can see it a little bit better. Because this is kind of, not only is this fixing boo-boos, but it's also breathing life back into your build. I think we got a little, I think I got some finish on the tape here, so it's not going to be, try to pull this off. But there we go. We just want you guys to see the difference and, you know, that it really does make a difference. So you can see there look at the color change. Look at the color change in this green here and that green there. So this is, there's no camera tricks or anything. This is the old green, or really it's not even the old green. This is the side that the finish is worn and old. And then this is the side. You can see how bright and vivid this green and how deep these blacks are. You know, it's just, the black thread really, really pops now. It doesn't look hazy anymore. It's taken out some flat spots. You know, sometimes it gets a little, it gets a little like pitted, or it gets some, kind of boogers on there. It just happens. So we're going to show you how to do this real quick. All right. So I've got, this is our fine 320, okay? So you need some of this. You can go finer than this. You can use sandpaper that is designed to be wet sanded. I try not to go with a heavier, more coarse grit than 320 because it'll put gouges in it. You know, if you're not constantly moving it, it'll cut, it'll cut troughs in your finish, and you don't want that to happen. So consider 320 to be about as heavy as you want to go. I'm just using it because we have it here and to show that it works, but if you want to go 500, 800, 1,000, 1,200, you can do that. It's just going to take you a little bit longer to get that desired finish.
Yep.
So,
let me start mixing some epoxy for you.
Yeah. You can give me some new epoxy going. All right. In the spirit of safety and old nasty finish, you guys should be able to still hear me. Muffled for a change. Hunter?
No comment.
No comment. All right, so you can see it starts to kind of get, it almost looks like it's a matte finish at this point, right?
Yep.
And again, I'm not going super crazy heavy. You can see here, this is just from that tape and that edge of the finish, so, pay no attention to that, please. All right, so that is close enough to give you the effect. What you'll notice is, depending on how much finish is on here, it's kind of like gel coat on a boat, depending on how much depth that you can work with. But, I would keep an eye out for any like pits in the finish or kind of rough spots. You can rub your hand over this. It doesn't feel, you don't want to feel grooves. This is a good spot to kind of do the fingernail test. If you have gouges in this because you were using, 80 grit, super, super coarse, you want to back down on, you want to go finer on that. So this is what it's going to look like, right? Now, a key to this is cleaning this off. So I'll show you here real quick. All you have to do is use a little alcohol. And you can watch that, kind of give you a little bit of a preview of how good that's going to look. You can see there how that's what it's going to look like now. That's pretty solid. That's really, really bringing that back to where it was when, you know, he sent it to us 7 years ago. So now what you're going to do is you will put this rod in a dryer, and you're going to use a very, very thin coat, okay? So Hunter's got me some finish mixed. I'm going to put a little finish on here. And there it is with finish. So there's the line. There's no finish. Finish. So that's what it looks like when it's, you know, kind of a matte finish. And there it is when you got finish on it. So that really, really is kind of, it's just really bringing it back to what it looked like 7 years ago, what it should look like. It's just going to make that, you know, that really, really dark in the black pop again. It's going to make the greens really pop again. You know, compared to what this looked like in just 5 minutes of work, you know, there it is. Ready to rock.
So, good as new almost.
Yeah. It'll fish, baby. And like you said, it'll be good as new. All right. Knock that out. I'm going to show them how to cut a tag in here real quick. I know we're kind of rushing, but I want to make sure it's the big finish show, so they're not going to see us for a while.
That's right.
Broken hearts. All right.
Let's see. Can anything be done about epoxy yellowing on a white blank? Ben, what I would recommend for that, there's a couple different things you can do. One you can do is you can pigment, you know, use marbling pigment for your epoxy on your guide wraps. That's going to, in a sense, hide the yellowing effect on the white blank. You got anything for that?
You know, unfortunately, when it yellows like that, it's all finishes, especially over a long period of time, are getting yellow.
All are going to yellow.
So that's what's going to be tough. You know, I mean, it's obviously going to yellow, you know, starting at the top down through the finish.
Yep.
So, you know, you could try this. It's really going to depend on how much yellowing. You know, it kind of has like a sunburnt to it. So if you can come in and sand it down, you might be able to get past that. But, you know, I can't, that's just one I can't promise you.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. So, sorry about that. Yep. All right, so we've all been here, right? Hopefully we can see. Can you see kind of that? That's going to be tough. Can you see that little guy right there?
What about a white, like a white background maybe? How about that? Does that work at all?
Yeah, not too bad.
Yeah.
Kind of see it? Okay. You get the idea. We've all been there. You don't need to see what it looks like because we've all seen it up close. I've seen it up close. Y'all have seen it up close. So what you're going to do, first, don't panic.
Yeah.
Second, pull out a sharp CRB razor blade. Okay? And please be careful. Please be careful. Do not cut at the blank like this. Do not come razor down because, you know, you might cut into this finish a little too deep and get down to the threads. We also do not want to put a slice of a vertical slice into this finish because if you put a vertical slice into the finish, you then can't get new finish into it. And then it will appear as a line in your finish. So all of your cutting of this little booger tag end needs to be this way. So lay it down on the blank, and we're going to cut it off just like that. See that? You can kind of see it, maybe not. Anyway, there's a little piece of thread in that tiny little bit of finish, okay? That now is smooth. So you can, depending on how much was there, if you got to shave it a little more here, shave it on that side, shave it a little on this side, and you're ready to rock. The great thing about rod finish in general, Pro Coat, Threadmaster, is it's self-leveling. So if you do get a little bit of wave in there, or you do get a little bit of a high spot, or something like that, it will actually just remedy itself. So you can see kind of how the light's refracting in that. See how it's kind of a spot in there? That's just now there's a flat spot in that finish. So all I did was lay that blade on its side and take that little sprig right out of there. And then all you got to do is don't worry about sanding this. If you don't want to, you absolutely can. But one thing you want to do, people ask this question all the time about how long can I put finish on after I've already put finish on, blah, blah, blah. Make sure that this is clean. So take your alcohol, rub it, clean it, dry it. It really needs to make sure that you've got, the oils from your hands, sunblock, just dirt and grime over the years. Make sure that if you want to go back and fix some of these things on an old blank, that you clean it before you do this. Or if, you just built this last night and you found a booger in it, you're good, because just cut it right off, come back in, add some finish over it, just put a really light coat, let it level out, and nobody will know.
Yep.
So
do the same thing with decals too. If you have the edge of a decal lifts up,
yep,
same method. All you do is go in, shave it off.
Absolutely.
Add some epoxy. Good to go.
Yep, for sure. So cool. What else? You got some questions in there?
We do. We had a lot of questions.
All right.
All right. So Douglas, he's from Minnesota. If I spray paint a blank, do I need a clear coat or rod finish or rod veneer? Okay, so if you spray paint a blank, one thing you have to have is a paint or a spray paint with a flex agent. Very, very important. Some type of either a flex agent, an automotive clear coat or paint, whatever it is, it's got to be flexible. This rod blank that we use when you're fighting a fish, when you're casting a lure, does not matter. It flexes, especially in the tip section. If you don't use a flex agent, it will crack over time. So just be sure you do that for sure. As far as coating it with epoxy, which I think was another question on there a few minutes ago, you can coat an entire blank with epoxy. A lot of saltwater guys do that for durability reasons. It will change the action of your blank. It's going to
it's going to add weight. It's going to slow it down a little.
Yeah, it's going to be more moderate. It's going to slow it down. It's going to have a big effect over it. For some applications, like heavy offshore boat rods, does not matter.
If it's a 50 to 80, it's all right.
You're not going to really notice too much.
You don't want to do that to a medium light jerkbait rod or something.
Exactly.
It's just unnecessary.
Yep, you don't have to do it.
Yep. Let's see. How about can you cut heavy build epoxy with denatured alcohol to make a lighter finish on an underwrap to help seal the underwrap? Yeah, absolutely, Paul. There's a lot of guys that are old school. So back before there was light build, medium build, heavy build, and there's all that, people long ago used flex coat. They would just use regular flex coat. So use regular flex coat, put a little denatured alcohol in it, and you're good to go. Just kind of what I would do, just like anything. I would do a little test run. Yep. I would mix how much I usually mix, and then I'd add X number of denatured alcohol, stir it up, and then test it on a blank and go, okay, that's about where I want it. Let it cure out, make sure you're good. Because what you don't want to do is you don't want to pour it all in, then dump a bunch of denatured alcohol in it. Then the next thing you know, oh, it's all messed up, and it's on a rod blank that you need to give to a customer. Yep. So just like anything, it's like one of those measure twice, cut once. So do a little test, but you absolutely can use denatured alcohol. Some people call it DNA. In the forums, that's kind of shorthand for it. So that's it.
Yep. Tim Berg, do they have a finish that leaves a matted look? Yes, we do. We have a matte varnish.
Yeah.
Would you use that as a finish? What do you think?
Yeah. Yeah. It's what, SEMO?
SEMO, yeah.
Yeah.
I've never personally used it, so I'm not.
Yeah, I've played around with it a little bit. I don't know if I'm just in love with it or not.
I think it's more used for coating the entire blank, probably, and giving a matte look, not really threads, but it can be used for that.
And it's like water.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to be there for a minute, Tim. But the good news is, why don't you, add some in the cart there, because what Tim Berg is going to be doing is Tim Berg is going to be our grand prize winner tonight. Tim, you're going to win the rod kit?
The rod kit with
thread
assortment,
some thread. We'll we're going to put some finish in there. We're going to throw in. Let's make a note of that. We'll put it on Hunter's credit card. We're going to give him some of that matte varnish, I think is what it is, right? So we'll let you play around with it. Have at it. You're going to win the color rod kit, matching thread, and we're putting in some. Whoa! Sorry, we're putting in some matte
burnishing tools.
Matte burnishing tools. He's ready to go to the ale house, is what he's ready to do. Right? So no, that is the grand prize winner, Tim Berg. Congratulations, man! Absolutely cool.
Let's do a couple more real quick. Jaden, how can you get a good finish over a guide foot with just one coat? Or can you? Seems as it dries, it soaks in and isn't a good looking finish.
It's pretty sharp.
Yeah.
I do it.
I'd have to disagree.
Wait, what? Did I hear that wrong? How can you get a good finish over the guide foot with one coat?
With just one coat.
Yeah. Oh, it says seems as it dries, it soaks in, and it isn't.
Isn't a good finish. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so I mean, it's definitely doable. We do it on all of our bass rods.
Yep.
Not something I'd recommend for maybe like heavy saltwater rods or anything like that.
That's a good point.
But I don't know. Applying finish and working with finish is, in my opinion, the hardest part of rod building. It's not something you're going to get first try. Keep experimenting. And
of course you got to look at it. It's like what you see first. It's not like if you're a little sloppy putting pro paste and sticking the handle on. Yeah, nobody knows.
No, you don't
if
see
your
it.
arbors aren't perfect, nobody really knows. But man, that finish is something. So that's that's why we try to concentrate on it a little bit.
Yeah.
Tonight. So yeah, I mean I do a one coat, but I will say I probably when I do a one coat, I always put a tiny little bit more finish than you end up with, and then I add a little bit of heat and pull a little bit of finish off.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a tip. So what do you think?
Well,
last show.
That's it.
Well,
Until
next year.
year.
That's it. So this was show 47.
Yeah.
And I know that we had the bug here real quick. I didn't get to the bug. Where did I put that blank?
Behind you.
Is it?
Is it behind me?
It's the one with the finish on it. The medium build and the yep. So real quick, we are going to, with the bug, you're literally going to do the same thing. So you got a no-see-em or a gnat or whatever, lay it on here, let that dig in, and we're going to do a little at a time. You can see me kind of shaving it off a little at a time. Always, cut away from you. Don't cut at yourself with these razor blades. and you're just going to shave it like that. You can see I'm pulling a little bit, a little bit, a little bit. Don't rush this. And we're just about there. What you would do is just shave it a little bit, shave it a little bit. Sometimes the bugs just boop right on top. Pull him off, and all you got to do is, you know, take a piece of a leg out of there or something. But if he's really in there real deep, just shave it like that. You know, kind of like we showed before. So that is that. There's your quick bug removal. Sponsored by Orkin or whatever.
All right.
All right, so third place winner is Michael Smith, is getting those 6 spools of thread. We're going to mix it up for you. That's going to be some nylon, some Colorfast, some silk. Who was second place?
Second place, Mandy Leon, the epoxy mixer kit. And then our grand prize winner, Mr. Tim Berg, Color Series rod kit, matching thread, the epoxy finishing kit, and I believe we're going to throw in the matte varnish for you as well.
Put it on Hunter's card. I'm telling you what, we got some incredible sales coming up.
We do.
We're going to have Black Friday, Cyber Monday. We have all kinds of stuff. We've got blanks, reel seats, components, sales that you wouldn't think that we're going to put on. It's coming soon.
And the promo code, don't forget about that.
Put that promo code up there, Jaybird. That a boy.
For the finishing kit and the epoxy mixer, that goes until Friday night. And the code is, you'll see it there, RBFK25MHL. Sound like I'm talking over a CB radio or something.
Did I catch a niner in there? Well, it was wireless. Awesome. All right, so got the promo code. We got free shipping until the end of the year. Nobody's doing that. Free shipping. Blanks under 8 feet and pretty much everything else in the building.
Yeah.
Pretty much everything else. That's free shipping. Got a lot of great clearance blanks. I saw them pulling them out. We got some OEMs back there. We were lucky enough to get our hands on a few of those. Flexing them. I saw you. You and Todd were in there flexing them today.
Might have been.
Pretty nice stuff. Pretty nice stuff. So that's in the clearance section. Don't let that get away. If you wait too long, they're going to be gone. And it's free shipping.
Yeah.
So don't worry
Till
about it.
the end of this year.
So don't worry about it. Order some now, order some next week. You'll be good to go.
I think that's it.
Wow. So there it is. That was our big finish. There was the big finish show. It's a little bittersweet. A little bittersweet. Coming out of the basement, going to the penthouse. We're going to show you guys some clips of the new building here coming pretty soon. It's bad to the bone.
Oh, yeah.
Got a big studio. We're going to be doing some cool stuff there. Won't be too long after the new year. You know, we'll let everybody kind of do their holiday thing, enjoy the family, get out and fish a little bit. You know, you don't need to see our mug for a little bit, hear us talk. So enjoy that. Be with the family, enjoy the holidays.
Yep.
Episode 47. Not too shabby. Not too shabby.
Yep.
So anyway, I think it was a good one tonight. You guys follow along. Tomorrow we're going to be answering a lot of questions that we didn't get to tonight in the Rod Builders Workshop page. We appreciate, as always, everybody in there. It's about 4K strong, and that's solid. That is great. So anyway, I think that's about it. Jay, Nick, we got Hoffma, Taylor, and Guffey in the back. We appreciate the team working hard tonight. It's not just Hunter and I.
No, it's not.
It is definitely not Hunter and I. So we appreciate everybody watching. We appreciate the team. And
Until next year.
Until next year, we'll see you guys for the Roaring 20s. It's going to be 2020 coming to you from the penthouse. We'll see you guys next time. He's Hunter McCamey. I'm Chris Adams. We can't wait to do 2020. We'll see y'all next time.